I made a video about this show already, but I gotta talk about it again. I've been rewatching 6 Feet Under, and it is the greatest thing I've ever watched in my life. From a writing standpoint, I think the characters are so fucking good, and I think the dialogue is so well written, and the way it feels watching it is just, it feels like you're really there with all the characters. It doesn't feel like it's a TV show. It's like real life. It almost feels like real life in a lot of ways. But I'm so fascinated how like the show is treated with care. Like I feel like the writers and the producers of 6 Feet Under really knew what they wanted, and they knew what they wanted to say, and I applaud them so much for that. It is the greatest, one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my life, and it's a top 3 show for me, along with Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, which are obviously very good, very popular shows as well. But 6 Feet Under feels like it completely got overshadowed by all these shows at that time, and doesn't get enough credit that it deserves. I'm surprised you don't see it like people making memes on it or dedicating Instagram pages to it. It's like just so thrown into the corner, like the angry, like the hated stepchild of the family. That's what 6 Feet Under feels like to me, and I'm just absolutely mind blown by that. I'm blown away by, and I've heard a lot of people were crazy about the show when it was airing, but how come it doesn't have that same cultural impact as The Sopranos or some other shows? I'm just kind of shocked by that. Maybe the subject matter in and of itself is why, because the subject matter is so heavy and so sad. It's very, very heavy, that and you're just, the show makes you just think about nothing but mortality and death and dying. And so it's like, I don't blame people for having a problem watching it or not rushing to watch something like that, because that is basically like the core of the show. There's also all these other aspects to it where like the characters are living their lives, and there's like, okay, well, what's going on with the people that aren't dying? You know, that's like really what the point of it is trying to make, is as much as death surrounds this family that owns this funeral home, as much as death is kind of always in the air, you get to see the characters go through all these different arcs and different transitions and growth. You get to see the characters grow and change. You get to see them change within their lives within these like few years that we see them in their lives, at least. And that's my favorite thing about it, is how you think on a surface level, or like at first you're thinking, oh, okay, this show's all about people dying, and then it goes through like just how hard life actually is, and how confusing it can be, and how unknown it is. My favorite thing about the show is you never really know what to expect. You don't know what life has in store for the characters, and just, that's how life is. It's unpredictable, and you don't have any idea what you're gonna get. You have no idea what you're gonna get, and I appreciate that they made sure to keep that as a very, the main important theme with the show is what they're going through, and also like where everybody ends up, obviously, which is in a fucking box in the ground. So it's just so, it's this unsung hero of HBO to me. It's like, how are people not talking about it more? I had to make a second video about it just because I want to talk about it some more, and I want to get into it. Once I'm done with the series, I'll probably do like a spoiler version of it and just talk about everything that I love about it, including like big reveals and big things that are going on. But I just finished season 2, and I'm every time I watch it, I'm just always reminded of how fucking flawless it is, and how genius it is, how fucking perfect the writing is. I fucking love this show, and I just feel like it needs, I want to see it get more credit for the work that they put into it. Maybe it does, because I don't know, sometimes I see HBO post videos about it, and I see a lot of comments talking about how much they love it, but I feel like younger people aren't aware of it. People that didn't grow up in the 2000s are completely oblivious to this show. You know, too busy watching kids sticking drugs up their ass on Euphoria or whatever the fuck that show is at this point. So yeah, I'm just really a huge fan of this. It's honestly probably my favorite show of all time, if Breaking Bad and The Sopranos didn't exist. The only reason those shows get like the number 1 and number 2 spot is because of like how flawless those shows are too. How like they just have that little bit of edge over it. But 6 Feet Under, from a minimalistic, purely dialogue-driven show standpoint, it is so challenging to get people to pay attention to the show. That's the majority of it is just talking. And 6 Feet Under does that well. It's like watching Breakfast Club or Good Will Hunting. You're so invested in what the characters are going through and what they're saying, how they're behaving. and that's all that you need. There's no action. There's not all these explode. There's occasional moments where there's something maybe a little more action driven when somebody dies in the beginning or something like that. There are brief moments of that, but most of the show is just people talking and going through their lives, and they somehow made it incredibly profound and interesting to watch. And I just I think more people should know about it. I hope that people check out 6 Feet Under and want to give it that attention. Even if you don't have Max, I think it's on Netflix right now, so check it out on Netflix. Like, it feels like they want people to check it out more because they put it on Netflix. It's not like every show on HBO is on there, but 6 Feet Under is like, it's so underrated and it's so unknown that it's great that they are at least putting that effort into to get more people to be aware of it and watch it. So yeah, check this show out if you're looking for something new. I swear to God, 6 Feet Under is one of the most wonderful achievements in television history. You won't be disappointed.